Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Forged Irish Stout, Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by one of the very best of all time boxing royalties in the house in Sheffield, Roy Jones Jr. Roy, how are we?
I'm great. Glad to be in the house of the Johnny Nelsons, the Harold Grahams, the Nassim Hameds of the world, the Carol Brooks of the world. So glad to be in their area. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be here. You got to pay homage to the guys who helped name this area as far as boxing goes. So those are the big names. And I just want to say what's happening to everybody.
100%. Look, last time we did an interview, it was one of the best ones I'd done, about 25 minutes. I told you off camera, I got back to the hotel, the audio had not worked, and I nearly put my fist through every wall that I walked past. So let's hope this one doesn't go like this. Look, you've got a fighter on the card, James Wilkins. Talk to me a little bit about him. Comes into this 11 fights and 2 defeats. What can you tell us about him from the people who don't know about him in the UK?
James is a very interesting guy. He's a very high energetic guy, pretty strong puncher, but I had him back about 2 years ago. And we had a little bit of a misunderstanding because he was having growth issues. So I let him go. He contacted me back in January, so he understands now he got over his growth issues, but I give him another try. I said, yeah, I give you another shot, but we got to see what we can do. It's going to be full, it's going to be fast forward now. When you waste a lot of time, you got to go. So I was already in this thing doing stuff with Dennis. And Dennis said he had a fight going on over here in Sheffield, so when I let him come fight, I said, of course. But he had to get active, so I had to get him a fight down in Costa Rica, which Dennis helped me out with to get him active. And now he's here fighting, so looking forward to a good night.
100%. Obviously, fight zone in Sheffield. Dennis is doing big things over here. I want to swerve away from this card just ever so slightly and get your opinion on something. We've got a huge fight coming up for Undisputed soon. I remember speaking to you, it was Archie Sharp in London, and we were talking about the heavyweight fights, and you were saying, look, it's not really the fight that we want to see. We want to see your Wilders, you're this, and this. But we're seeing Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk. We've had a little delay to the fight due to injury or whatever. Tyson looks in incredible shape, and it's going to be a very interesting fight. What do you make of this now? As the fight edges closer, has your opinion on this fight changed at all, and what do you believe will happen?
My opinion hasn't changed much at all. Now is the time for the fight, though. Before all of these things happened, wasn't the time yet. You understand? Because there was no clear two guys at the top. And the guys that were around the top were guys that we thought may have had a chance with them. Now with Joseph Parker upsetting Wilder, with Shane getting beat, then Joseph Parker upset Shane. When Joseph Parker already beat those two guys, then Joshua already beat Joseph Parker twice. So now we know that the top of the heat truly is Fury and Usyk. Yeah. So AJ is in the mix always, but still Fury and Usyk are the top. So we may as well settle that first, which now has become very interesting because of the outing that Fury had with Ngannou. Yeah. That makes the fight much more interesting. However, I think that was just a wake-up call for Usyk. I think that's just going to wake him up, make him understand, hey, don't take nobody lightly. Because just like you took Ngannou lightly, you can also take Usyk lightly because he's so small. He's coming up to heavyweight from cruiserweight. I think that was his wake-up call to know now, don't take Usyk lightly. If he doesn't take Usyk lightly, then I think it's going to be a hard fight for Usyk.
If Tyson Fury can produce anywhere near his best, and Oleksandr Usyk produces something near his best, how do you see the fight playing out? I know we can't predict future, but you have a very good idea, and look, you've done it all. So I think I'm asking the right guy.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that fight a lot, but the way that I see it is that if it plays out like I think it will play out, Tyson Fury uses reach, his jab, and keep Usyk away. When he get close, he tie him up. Then he'll make it a very boring fight for Usyk, but I think he'll beat Usyk. Now, if Usyk has worked on his explosiveness, then Usyk could be dangerous. But if he hasn't worked on his explosiveness, then Tyson can beat him pretty easy.
We saw Anthony Joshua return to the ring against Francis Ngannou after beating Otto Wallin. And I know Francis Ngannou, with all due respect, so I've got to say this, he's a novice boxer at the end of the day. I think like we saw with the Tyson Fury fight, because we saw what we saw, there was a question mark. Is he good? Did Tyson take it lightly? We saw Joshua produce a stunning knockout. What did you make of that event and what we saw? Was that just experienced high-level boxer versus novice boxer? What did you make it?
Open amateur versus a novice amateur. I mean, not say amateur because that's what term we use, open and novice in. We don't use that in pros. So it's an open fighter versus a novice fighter. You know what I'm saying? So I told him right away, Joshua's not going to let this dude beat him for 2 reasons. A, he's a novice. B, this gives Joshua a one-up on Fury. Because Fury struggled so hard with him, he actually knocked Fury down. So if Joshua go out and smash him, that definitely makes arguments to say that he can rival Fury a lot better. And that's what he did.
here in the UK, everyone wants to see Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It almost means that in boxing, you want these things to happen so bad, and we forget there's a fight in between that. There's a big fight in between that. But that must be something that you must look at and go, you know what, the two styles of personalities. We know how big that fight will be in the UK. Whether it happens in the UK or not, who knows? But you must want to see that fight as well.
We all want to see that fight. That's why I didn't want to see Joshua. That's why I didn't want to see Fury Usyk in the beginning, because I didn't want Fury to have a possibility of a loss from Usyk before he fought Joshua.
Yeah.
Now I think he understands that too, so I think he's getting back on his A game, and I think he'll figure it out. And I don't think Usyk will be able to beat him because of the size difference. But if he beats Usyk, the world still wants to see him versus Joshua.
I want to get your opinion. Devin Haney is out in a few weeks against Ryan Garcia. Now, before everything that's gone on in the media, I think we've got to say, look, these are the fights that boxing needs. We're starting to see that now. Last 12 to 18 months, fighters are fighting each other. Like your era, anyone, look, we're still now, let's go, kind of thing. But this fight in particular, Devin's always called out the big names. Ryan Garcia, big name. Obviously, took a defeat to Gervonta. I want to flip it a little bit. If you were looking after Ryan Garcia, seeing what he's putting out, I know there's trolling in boxing. Happens all the time. We see it. Has it gone too far, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's gone much too far. Sometimes, like the Eubank Smith case, the first fight, I thought it went a little bit out of bounds. It went too far. I think this fight is also going too far because we're promoting boxing. We're not trying to harm each other in life. We're just promoting boxing. Sometimes when it gets to personal life situations, it gets too deep. And I feel like this time it may be getting a little too deep.
In terms of the fight itself, though, great fight. I mean, Devin Haney he's the guy at the minute. He's going up. He moved up in weight, beat a Regis Prograis. Outstanding performance. Ryan Garcia came back from his defeat to Tank and got a victory under his belt. What do you see when you look at that fight? Is it a case of Devin has to use his smarts, his ability? Ryan's obviously got a terrific, everyone talks about this, a big leaping left hook kind of thing, and you know about leaping left hooks. How do you see the fight playing out?
It's a very big fight. Devin definitely has to deal with Ryan's leaping left hook, but I think they fought either 4 or 6 times as amateurs.
They did, yes.
As either 2-2 or 3-3.
I think it's 3-3.
Okay, so if it's 3-3, they know each other very well. Devin knows their leaping left hook, and Ryan knows everything about Devin. So they know each other better than we know that they know each other. The only other thing is that Devin may have added to his toolbox since then. I don't think Ryan has really added to his toolbox since then. And that's why I think the major difference is going to be. But you got to also take into the fact that that left hook with headgear on and 10-ounce gloves is different than 8-ounce gloves with no headgear. So we also got to see how Devin takes that left hook now without the headgear. So it's a lot of questions that have to be answered. In the long run, I think Devin has the advantage because we saw what Ryan did against Tank, and that gives him the upper hand because he knows now because Tank showed you how to get it. You understand me? So I give Devin the upper hand, but because Ryan knows Devin so well, that could be a thing that gives Ryan more confidence too. And because they got a 3-3 rivalry, he want to win that rivalry, so who knows?
Right now in boxing, I asked you this before, but I'm not going to ask you what fights you want to see made. Who is the one fighter right now that Roy Jones will tune in 4 a.m, pay-per-view? You know what, I'm staying up for him. Forget the heavyweights for a minute. Outside of the heavyweights, who's the one fighter you look at and go, you know what, I'm watching that. I'm staying up for that.
It's more than one, but Terrence Crawford is definitely that one. But it's more than one. Terrence, Bivol, Fury, Canelo, the kid just retired. Shakur, Haney, Tank.
It's a deep talent pool now.
Deep pool now. Jerron Enos.
Is this his breakout year?
Yes, it's a breakout year, but it's a whole pile of them out there that I still have to watch now because they're really good fighters, and I'm really waiting to see what happens when they fight one another. Beterbiev. I mean, there's a lot of great fighters out there that I wait up to see.
Beterbiev and Bivol coming up now, for me, like pound for pound, two of the. I mean, if you watch how they just hit the pads, the technique's incredible. Like, I'm watching Bivol hit the pads in Abu Dhabi, and I'm stood there going, wow, like this is an open workout I'm going to get behind. Like, what do you see happening in that fight? Because we've seen Beterbiev go in there with a big guy like Callum Smith, nullify him completely. And we've seen Bivol go out there and fight the likes of Azurdo Ramirez. We saw what he did against Canelo. Matching these two styles up, terrific. What I would say is from the outside looking in a 50-50 fight. Is that how you see?
No.
No.
Not 50-50. One, Beterbiev is 38 years old. Beterbiev has been down.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Bivol never been down. Bivol been in there with who at the time was pound for pound the best, which was Canelo Alvarez. Made him look like nothing. So I'm not saying it's 50-50. Beterbiev got everything to show me to bring it back up to 50-50. Right now, Bivol has the advantage 60-40. Now, Beterbiev is a hell of a guy and a hell of a fighter and has an awesome power, but he also has been down. So it's like when I look at that, I always look at stuff from where I used to see things standpoint.
Yeah.
And the way I saw it, if somebody else knocked you down, I got to get you down. You understand me? Now, that's a hell of a punch to walk through to get him down, though. So it's a very dangerous game that Bivol got to play because Beterbiev is the best puncher probably ever in that division. You understand me? So it's a great fight. If it's 50-50, it's because of his punching power. Maybe he may land and maybe he may not. That's the only 50-50. But as far as the overall fight game goes, Bivol has the advantage.
Last one from me. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. What do you make of it? It's confirmed apparently now, eventually, it's an exhibition.
I'm going to say one thing about that. They added headgear and they added 16-ounce gloves, right? They said they got headgear and 16-ounce gloves. That's what I last heard, right? If they got headgear and they got 16-ounce gloves, none of that was done for Mike Tyson, trust me.
Roy Jones Jr., look, your fighter's about to get weighed in. I always appreciate giving us some of your time. It's good to see you back on these shores again. Let's hope we catch up soon.
Thank you, my brother. Same here.